Stop workplace bullying now! Stop workplace bullying now! Stop workplace bullying now! Stop the 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 bullying now!
We're all here today because at San Francisco General where I work, I'm a shop steward and chapter president. And everywhere I go, I hear members complaining about being bullied in the workplace, either by their managers or their co-workers. And it seems to be in this environment, nothing's being done about it. They report it to all the people, they follow the rules, and nothing happens. They still end up being bullied. And it's getting to a critical point to where we don't want it to get to a point where somebody will do something like they did in Florida and walk into the work site and shoot somebody because they've been bullied so much that they just can't take it anymore. We think that the city needs to take this serious. They need to deal with these issues as they arise. The union is more than willing to work with them to do this. I know that at Public Health they've started some things, but it's not fast enough and it's not soon enough, and our people are suffering. So we're going to have a bunch of members that are brought out here that are going to tell you their stories so that you can hear it firsthand. And hopefully we're going to share this with the administrators in the hospital so they can hear directly from the people that work for them what it is like working within different departments within the city, particularly food service. Now I could talk about CPD, where they have an employee that's going around making racial comments, such as one woman, her daughter was going to college. She asked another worker whose daughter was going to college what kind of forms to help her, like guide her through it, because she had never gotten her child in college. And the comment from the worker was, how old is your daughter? She told her how old she was, and this is in CPD. And she said, well, she's 18. And the comment from the worker was, well, I guess she'll be pregnant pretty soon. That is the most blatant, racist kind of a mark. And these are what the employees in that department have been subjected to for some time, that I'm starting to help them deal with it now. Now, we hope that when we talk about these things, that management will take it seriously and not retaliate, but help us resolve these issues so that we all have a better working environment. I know that the upper management is trying to do something about it, but it needs to be more aggressive. And they need to do more, and they need to do it quicker, because people are suffering. People are out sick, they're out on disability because of it, and this just cannot be tolerated anymore.
Today is that the Civil Service Commission and the Department of Human Resources should conduct a survey of city workers, but not the satisfaction surveys they're doing now, because they never ask about bullying or discrimination, but a survey that actually asks about the incidence of bullying. And then the city would be able to deal with it more intelligently and more directly. So that's what I'm calling for. Human Resources to talk to the workers and survey the workers specifically on bullying and unfair practices. Thank you.
My name is Michael King, and I've experienced workplace bullying. Today I was sent home for a simple disagreement with the chef that I'm working with. He asked me to do something, and I explained to him that I didn't have enough time to complete my assignment that he asked me to do. And I also informed him that that was not my work assignment, and he insisted at yelling and telling me, yes, I can tell you to do whatever I want you to do. And I told him this was on discussion. We had to discuss this because this wasn't discussed part of our original job routine when we did our new job bidding. And he told me that I'm the chef, that I can do whatever I want, and I can tell you to do what I want you to do. So as a result of that, I had put in a situation where he gave me the chance to go home. So I said, okay, I'll go home, because he wanted me to go in the office, and I couldn't go in the office to meet with his boss at the time. So I chose to go home. But instead of going home to vent, because I was so frustrated about him yelling and embarrassing me in front of my coworkers in the back in the kitchen, I chose to go sit in the cafeteria. I sat there for 45 minutes. And during this time, the chef was walking around, prancing around in the back of the, not in the back of the cafeteria, in the dining area, and asking other people, why is Michael still here? And I thought I could stay there on my own because my boss, his boss, told me that I could go sit in the cafeteria with no problem. But he took it upon himself to call 5 sheriffs to have me escorted out of there, and that was a public area, and I thought that was a little over the top. And this is not the only incident he's done. He sent me home for other incidents where I've told him about, quoting him about facts about the MOU, and he's telling me that I don't have the right to speak about the MOU, about even city policies as well as the MOU policies. And this is the type of stuff that I've constantly been dealing with for the last several months with this individual. And this type of environment needs to stop. Human Resources at the hospital knows about it. They haven't done anything about it. It's a totally toxic environment. So I wish the city or HR from 1 Van Ness would do something about this because it's a toxic environment. No one wants to participate in the Christmas party that they're trying to propose for us. No one has any morale. They don't want to come to work. A lot of people are stressed out and they just want to stay home and not be involved with taking care of patients, which we're here to take care of, to feed the sick and needy. So something needs to be done about that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ingrid Cobb. I work in food and nutrition department, and I also have experienced workplace bullying. Our director is very rude. She yells at people, slam papers down, harass people, always want to write people up for their sick calls, and the whole nine. Is just ridiculous what we go through. We work in a very toxic, hectic work department. People don't want to come to work. It's bad. And nobody gets along. It's like she's trying to destroy the department or have destroyed the department, and she make up her own rules. Nothing in the MOU or city policy. It's always some different rule. You call in or you call in and say you're going to be 15 minutes late. That's an absent for today. Where is that in any city policy or any MOU? That is not what's quoted, and it just needs to stop. All of us is fed up. I could go on and on about food and nutrition. Thanks.
I work in the nutrition service, and the management want us all out of the classification. We have been pushing us to do the driving, and also the management, like they violate the labor law because we are allowed to call in sick when we were sick, and they tell us if they want to wake us up for calling in sick.
My name is Kirk Giles. I work in the Nutrition Services Department at San Francisco General Hospital. And I think in the workplace, fairness should be widespread as opposed to different people, different rules. And I think when a person's in a place of leadership, they should use fair judgment or fair decisions among all their employees that serve below them or general servants of this hospital and for the workplace. So there have been some developments in our workplace, and I like to see a lot more. And I think if we pull together and we try to work together as a family, because in the workplace we spend most of our time, with our coworkers, most of our quality time. We spend 40 hours a week, sometime overtime. So we should work together, and we'll be a better workplace for all of us, and to spread throughout the hospital, and that way it can help all the city employees throughout our community. Thank you very much.
Everyone, my name is Audrey Liang. I'm coming here to support San Francisco General Hospital's co-workers because I heard they got all bullying around on the workplace. I'm coming to tell my story too. I'm working on the Department of Public Works before, and then they bullying on me, and after I fight back with the union, and then they stop. Right now I'm working on Department of Human Service Agency, and then recently, last year, one of the manager, he is keep bullying all the employees, and whenever who's speaking Chinese, and then he come out to stop people or watching people with a very angry eyes. Like one time, every time when I speak to the client in Chinese, I'm doing an interpreter, He come out from his office with angry eyes and then look at me. I'm doing my work for interpreter for the clients. Because the client speaking Chinese, I do an interpreter for them. And then for the collection or for the QC or for the investigation. And then when I'm speaking Chinese, and then he come out all the time with the angry eyes, look at me all the time. Bullying, and I report it, and then right now I'm not working with him. And then hopefully I keep talking to the Human Service Agency and keeping talking with DHR and Civil Service Commissioner. And then I hope we have a safety working environment and bully-free from the workplace. Thank you. I'm supporting all the people here and San Francisco General Hospitals and some other departments.
Hi, my name is Nicole Laurie and I work for Family and Children's Services. I am in a new position and immediately have been affected by bullying. I wanted to have a union representative in a meeting with upper management and was told I could not do so. So therefore I had to file a complaint. Right now my complaint has been sitting on the desk for about 7 weeks and I've followed up about 6 times and have been told that it's pending, and I don't know if it's been activated or if it's been declined or if I'm just waiting for more information. That doesn't feel good. And this is because I've decided to speak out and protect myself. I am a person who has disabilities and I speak up for myself and have asked questions and have made sure that I get my needs met, and I will continue to do that. It's unfortunate that I've had to go to upper management and I've had to go to our labor department to get my needs met. And so I am here to make sure that my needs get met as well as other people's needs get met, that we do stop the bullying from upper management, any means necessary. Thank you.
Now! Stop the bullying 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 now!
Okay, thank you. So my name is Sunny Solis. I'm the Chief Shop Steward for HSA ACS chapter, and I've been approached by many union members who have felt the ramifications of bullying. They've been marginalized. Some of them have come to us crying. People talk behind their backs. The supervisor is the one who has started this marginalization because when they question her ethics and when they question her choices, they are moved around and they're punished. And bullying happens in a lot of different ways, and I think one of the ways that we often don't recognize is this targeting one person at a time until they achieve their ends. And I think it's happening all over HSA. It's happening at 170 Otis, and a lot of people are under a lot of stress over it. The workplace environment needs to be, we're social workers. It needs to be social. We need to support each other. We don't need this added stress of management coming down hard on us. And for what? For asking questions, for doing things that we think is the right thing, even though management may not see it that way. That's why we're often marginalized. Okay, thanks. Stop the bullying now!
Stop the bullying now!
I wanted to talk about somebody who can't be here today, but is very important to hear from. And his name is Darrell Whitman. Now, Darrell Whitman is a lawyer and investigator with OSHA, with the Whistleblower Protection Program. And his job was to investigate workers who are fired or retaliated against for making health and safety complaints. And what he found out was when he tried to do his job, he was bullied by his manager, and other workers at OSHA were bullied. And what does that tell you? If people who are supposed to investigate bullying of workers themselves get bullied, we don't have a safe workplace. So he has written a statement, bullying has become the scourge of the American workplace, not only in the private sector, but also for public employees. The costs of bullying are immeasurable in time and resources consumed in bullying and in workers' attempts to protect themselves from bullying. But for public employees, the costs are greater and include lost services to their fellow American workers. Ironically, employees in the U.S. Department of Labor, which is tasked with protecting and advancing workers' interests, are among those in the federal government most subject to a hostile workplace and bullying. And among the worst agencies in the Department of Labor is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, which was created specifically to combat threats to workers at work. In 2009, the union steward assigned to work with OSHA Region 9 here in San Francisco was harassed, bullied, and eventually fired after she asked for accommodation for a serious health issue. When I assumed her job in 2011 as the OSHA union steward, I was harassed, bullied, and eventually fired. But the crime was compounded when 3 other OSHA employees who stood up and reported bullying to the National OSHA office were also harassed, bullied, and eventually forced from their jobs in 2015. Ironically, we were all investigators in OSHA's Whistleblower Protection Program, which is among the most important programs in the federal government that is tasked with protecting workers from workplace bullying. Congress passes new laws almost every year aimed at protecting workers. Some are strong and some are weak, but passing laws is not enough. Laws must be enforced to have an effect. And when laws protecting workers are ignored, particularly by the federal government, it breeds a culture of corruption that encourages hostile workplace and bullying everywhere. Then we all pay the price as the culture of corruption envelops us, inspiring fear that deny rights and dignity to workers. I am happy to report my local union stewards came to my assistance, and now the National American Federation of Government Employees, the union that represents all federal workers, is offering to lend a hand to push back against bullying. But even this faithful response is not enough. Only informed, organized, and focused workers acting together can turn the tide. We must know our rights and insist that they be respected. We must organize our workplaces where they are already organized. We must encourage our union leaders to be aggressive in representing us. We must talk to our families, friends, and neighbors, explain how our fight is their fight, whether or not they are organized. But most of all, we must demand that our political representatives represent us, the broad community of American workers, and not pander to corporate interests that are daily attacking us. In solidarity, Darrell Whitman, fired OSHA lawyer. So this really tells you that this is an epidemic.
So, you know, it's a little bit deeper than just that, Steve. I know that the hanging noose is what really sparked it all, but there was other issues with asbestos that I reported, and they had to get me out of there as quick as possible. Turn the mic off, and put me on leave for another injury. And I know a lot of you all probably that do know the story don't know that I originally, when I was actually a garbage collector, I actually got injured before my probation, and I was told to keep it quiet and not to tell because I would be fired if I did it within my first 120 days of employment, which I did. I went down and tried to explain it to the safety manager, and they basically gave me a brace and told me to go back to work, and then eventually a few weeks later, they fired me from work because I wasn't able to, perform properly. But we have to stop, as workers, allowing management to, bully us, especially when it comes down to being injured, speaking up against things that are not right, and we have to stand together. I mean, I did a meeting not too long ago with Steve at General Hospital, and a couple people kind of got mad at me because, sometimes we don't understand that, united that we stand, it's harder for anyone to hurt us.
That's right.
And that's the problem. I think that with a lot of people, when they hear something like this, it sounds so revolutionary because we don't understand. We're so used to, asking unions to help us, which a lot of unions, I don't know about, certain unions that are here today, represented today, but your union might be strong, but I know my union was not strong. My union told me basically to bow down and to do whatever the company wanted to do with me, and that would be fine by them, and they would not stand with me. So, with that, we have to realize that workers, and the stronger that we are as workers, the better off we will be. Of course, management and companies don't ever want to see the workers get strong, whether it's inside the company or workers just around the entire states, all the states standing strong and not allowing this foolishness to go on. But there should never be a day that we go to work and have to be concerned or worried about reporting something that's not right and being fired, or reporting injuries to ourselves. The piss poor training that they give some of us that doesn't allow us to perform our work. What's that?
What about none?
Right. The piss poor and none. No training that they give some of us on some of these jobs and expect us to perform efficiently and safely, which just can't be done. So I'm just here to stand up and continue to fight, for workers. That's what I'm going to continue to stand up doing. And I thank you all.
Everyone, my name is Teresa Duki. I'm the Executive Director for Community Empowerment Center down at Sampuno Avenue, 2798. And when I was working as a community leader, so what happened is that a lot of people, especially people with color, like Asians, they don't speak their language. They are afraid to report. They are harassed. They came to us, and I was sometimes I feel so sad. I cry with them. Really, they don't know where, how. And even people, they speak English, they have a hard time to report what is going on. And, I think management is not doing enough. Mayor is not doing enough. The supervisors, anyone is not doing enough to protect, the workers, the people with color. Do they really look at us, especially like people, they don't speak English, okay? So I urge them to stand up for us and really take this very, very seriously. And just now you mentioned about the OSHA, they also bullying. So it's so sad. It will happen in the United States of America, okay? So please, stop it. Stop bullying now. Stop bullying now. We will fight for it, okay? Stop bullying now.
Hi, my name is John Wadsworth. I'm an employee with the City of San Francisco. I work at San Francisco General Hospital for the inpatient pharmacy department. And unfortunately, I've been here before and talked about the same abuse on the city workers of San Francisco. And I'm no closer to understanding, why it's so rampant in the health services system. We just opened a new hospital in San Francisco, and there's been multiple initiatives that have been put forward in service excellence, stop the line, implementation of lean principle processes to better the services of San Francisco, but they don't address some of the bigger issues that prevent us from being able to provide these good services. The staffing shortages in San Francisco are systemic throughout the hospital, create the type of environment where we're unable to provide or succeed in doing the jobs that we do at the hospital. And the waste, the money that's being wasted, they talk about trying to prevent waste within the city services. And even within my own department, I've seen hundreds of thousands of dollars of drug waste from non-compliance to regulatory issues. I've seen dozens of injured workers throughout the department, and I want something done about it. If they expect us to be able to provide a better service, then with all the money that's being spent on the hospital, the new hospital, and the renovations, it's time to invest in the workers themselves. Often, especially in my own department, we're expected to do new assignments with little to no training at all. I've seen throughout the hospital, as a union representative and officer, I've seen workers in some departments that have been injured and not even offered any medical care. These type of things are just unacceptable. Right.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, it's time to change this. If you want better services, it's time to start treating the workers better. To stop abusing the workers and retaliating on the workers. You want us to speak up about the things that are going on so things can get better? Then stop retaliating on the workers. Stop abusing the workers and start investing in better services and better training for these persons.
My name is Herbert Weiner. I retired from the city some years ago. I was with the Department of Human Services, and sometimes I say hardly human, hardly services. I had a boss who made the death penalty look merciful. She tormented me so much that my weekends I was wondering if I would have a job, even though I had tenure and everything. At one point she stated to another worker, "Oh, I won't take my aggressions out on you, I take it out on Mr. Weiner, he doesn't fight back." What finally happened was she got transferred to another unit, and the unit rebelled against her. These were perfectly nice people. So she went around saying, "I don't have anything against you." They were filing a grievance. She took a week off, she resigned, and the world is a better place for it. So, I mean, I can only describe what I went through as lethal supervision. And really, it was a terrible experience. I don't wish it on other people. It lasted for almost 3.5 years. The Employee Assistance Program knew about it. They tried to be supportive. Unfortunately, the bosses backed her up. And when the going got rough, they cut the strings to her fast. Now, there's one thing that goes on at the work site that people should be aware of. There's the bully, the victim, and the bystander. The bully caters to terrorizes the audience, the bystanders. Hopefully, the bystanders think, "Gee, I hope I'm not next." And sometimes what happened to me, one worker said to me, "You're not fighting back." He wasn't helping me at all. And so these are the things that happen at the work site. And this is part of the mechanism that goes on. So this doesn't only happen in public employment. It happens in psychoanalytic institutes, where people's lives can be destroyed, where people who are supposed to handle people's sensitive problems, they can be terrorized by a training supervisor who, say, is going through a bad marriage, is cheating on his wife. All sorts of things are going on, and the worker can get, the candidate can get the brunt of it. And unfortunately, they don't have an audience for speaking out. This group does. And every sector of working life should have protection against being bullied. We should really take over the job. So my feeling is, let's stop the bully in its tracks. I don't care if they have MDs or PhDs or anything like that. They can be well-educated thugs. And we have to remember the Nazis had very high IQs. Thank you very much.
We need to have language in our memorandum of understanding throughout the local.
Yes.
Yes.
We have to have language relative to workplace bullying
And
harassment. One could say it's a form targeting or retaliation. One can say that it's an extreme form of lack of mutual respect. However, we have to have the language in there and it does affect our working conditions, right? We're supposed to be bonding for hours, wages, and working conditions. And I would consider harassment and workplace bullying, which can also lead to workplace violence issues.
That's right.
That needs to be addressed in our contracts, so that when it occurs, we can file a grievance. Right. Because all members need to have redress to this awful condition. The other thing that I would like to say, and I don't know exactly what's happening, but I understand that OSHA is in the process of doing workplace standards relative to harassment, and so I would like for us to continue to pursue that.
Talk to the mirror. We're going to take this tape, and to all the administrators where I work, we want to let you know that we're going to share this with the mayor's office.
Yes.
We intend to share this with the governor.
Yes.
We intend to share this with as many people as we can.
Yes. Yes.
And the goal is not to make you look bad. The goal is for us to protect ourselves. That's right. And that there needs to be extensive training of all workers. All workers. Because many people are being bullied and they don't even realize that's what it is.
Right.
Yeah. Right? They think it's something else. They think it's something wrong with them. They blame themselves when it's really not about themselves. It's about something being perpetrated upon them.
Yes.
So we want to make sure that everybody knows that we're going to send this tape out publicly. And what we want is, we expect our administrators at San Francisco General to call us in for a meeting and once and for all and sit down and come down with a real solution.
Yes. Yes.
One case at a time is not going to work. This is an umbrella issue that needs to be dealt with in an umbrella way.
Right.
So that we all can be in a safer work environment, and so that we all can become more productive, so the managers will stop writing people up for calling in sick because they're so stressed out they can't come to work. And the union, we expect our unions to back us more too. We should have 1,000 people here and we don't, and that's sad.
It is sad.